boss man. And he goes, what do you want from me? Why aren't you working? No, I am. That's the whole thing. I've been working so hard for you for 10 years. Do you want a reward? Do you want some kind of consolation prize? What do you want from me right now? I'm busy. I'm drinking Yoo-Hoo, and I'm watching Clemson losing 95-3. What do you want from me right now? What? Spit it out, man. Spit it out. I just need to, I need a raise because I can't watch these WWE podcasts with my friends and start a watch party because I don't have enough gas money, so I need a little raise, a little microscopic, teeny, weeny, incy little raise. Please, it'll mean a lot to me. I want to watch these podcasts with everybody across the board. He goes, you have some audacity to ask me for a raise. What about Don Morocco? Don Morocco, what about him? What does he have to do with you getting a raise? Well, do you like Don Morocco? Of course I like Don Morocco. He's a Hall of Famer. Everybody loves Don Morocco. How about Bill DeMott? Bill DeMott saves lives. He's one tough guy, and I love him. He's an honest human being. What about Paul Roma? Paul Roma's great. He maintains the truth, and man, this guy's got an 85-foot vertical leap. Of course I like Paul Roma. What about Del Wilkes? He's a patriot. He stands for justice. I love Del Wilkes. What about Glacier? He keeps me cool, literally and figuratively. He makes me feel like I can lift a Mack truck off my chest. That's how motivating he is. And what about everybody else across the board on these lineups? We have Mike Drosy. He saves lives and takes out that trash like that no-good Howard Collado. And what about Mickey Doyle? Mickey Doyle, I love dinosaurs. I like the Brontosaurus and Diplodocus. I like Mickey Doyle too. What about Alvin Klein? You lost me there. But hey, are you telling me you have access to these legends? Yeah, I have access to these legends. All you gotta do is share these podcasts to everybody. I'll share them to you, and maybe I can get a raise. You got it. I'll tell you what. Let's shake on it. Da-da-da! Boom! I will shake your hand. I will give you a raise, and guys and gals, that's how it begins. Share these podcasts, get a raise, build them out. The floor is yours.
Can I come up with an analogy next week?
Sure.
Do I have to do it too, or can I just come up with one?
No, you can come up with one. You don't have to do it right now.
I feel like I'm going to have an aneurysm.
No, God forbid, Bill. No.
Well, not like a cartoon one, because I keep.
Oh, a cartoon one. Yeah. Let me ask you a question before we bring in our guest. Which cartoon, and guys, I'm asking you this right now off the cuff. Which cartoon had the greatest cartoon aneurysm? Was it Bugs? Did Bugs ever have aneurysms? Daffy Duck had a few.
Flintstones were the best.
Yes, Fred.
The Dipsy Doodleitis and all that.
Dipsy Doodleitis.
The Dipsy Doodleitis.
Dipsy Doodleitis. Guys, where else can you hear about blueberries and Dipsy Doodleitises within the first 15 minutes of a show? I don't know.
Dipsy Doodleitis.
Hashtag Dipsy Doodleitis. And guys and gals, hashtag moving forward, because what a segment moving forward has become. And I want to bring in our guest now and give him a 1-minute warning because this man has quite the story. And I want to bring this up before I bring him in. At approximately 2 o'clock in the morning, on August 17th, guys and gals, 2002, this man was on his way home after working in Ocala, Florida. As he approached the top of a hill, he was hit on the head by an individual who had a blood alcohol level of 0.39. The man who hit him was killed on impact. The individual that's about to show up on this broadcast was airlifted to Jacksonville, Florida with life-threatening injuries. His body was broken, his face was crushed, and he lay in a coma. After many surgeries and comatose for weeks, this man was finally released from the hospital after several months. He was in a wheelchair, unable to walk, and his jaw was wired completely shut. Months of therapy, he learned to walk again. But he still suffers from pain each and every day. He had to make a horrible decision. He needed to have his eye removed. There was too much damage from the crash, and he's incurred over $850,000 in medical bills. This man has been through it all. And I'd like to bring in William Wilson to the show. William, how are you?
I'm good, Albie. I'm mainly good because I got my right guard here.
Oh, got the right
guard. It'd be rough.
And guys, I want to do this now because I really want to get into your story, and so does Bill. This isn't a razzle-dazzle version of the plug, but pretty soon we will for the game that we play. But guys, grab yourself some right guard. William's got it. I know Bill subscribed to it too. Look at the nameplate, right guard number 1. That says it all. Get yourself some right guard, guys. Arctic Refresh Extreme Defense. Every time you feel like you're sweating, this is your deodorant of choice, and it's also made for women as well. James, we need some inventory, buddy. But get yourself some right guard, guys and gals. William Wilson and Bill DeMott. Your paths have crossed before? You've spoken to each other? I know that.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Bill. Yes, we've met at what we call the Victims Impact Panel. It's a thing we have here in Marion County where we people that have been arrested for drinking and driving, they're court ordered to come see our class. And what we try to do is open their eyes and show them a perspective of things that they haven't seen and don't understand. And I'll never forget the first time Bill came because, it's one thing speaking to people, but it's another thing when you're looking at offenders, okay? The people that have done wrong, and it's really hard to know what to say to them. A lot of times I look at the people that my goal, and even here today, man, if I can get through to one person and change one person and make the safe streets for just one person, then it's worth me speaking.
I read, and I want to throw it over to Bill, but I read, William, everything that occurred, everything that happened to you. And I guess we hear the stories about how in 1 second your life can change, but reading how graphic that was, and I should have read how graphic that was, because you incurred so many injuries because of someone else's irresponsibility. My question to you is, since 2002, since that fateful day, almost 20 years has actually gone by, about 18. Do you still carry a lot of that with you? Mentally, physically, psychologically, emotionally?
Physically, yes. I feel it every day. Psychologically, I'm a big race fan. I'm a big racer. And I learned a lot from a man named Don Garlitz. Okay, and Don Garlitz had survived a lot. He had a book out, and he had a story that I had seen about how he survived and what he had done. And so I learned a lot from him. And one day, I'm over at Daytona in the infield, at what we call the Turkey Rod Run. It's a big car show. And Don Garlitz is there, and I go talking to him, and I tell him how, I'm so grateful for his story and what I got out of it. And he asked me, he said, will you come over here and pray? Pray with me. Let's get down on our knees and pray. And here I am in the infield of the Daytona International Speedway on my knees with Don Garlitz praying. And Don Garlitz prayed to forgive the guy who had crashed into me and done this damage to me. And I thought, wow, how cool. I just prayed, with Don Garlitz at Daytona on our knees. Awesome experience. And then I thought, but he just prayed to forgive this guy who did so much damage to me. And I thought that was really weird. Okay? I pray every day. I see the sun come up. Okay, I've got the things that I'm so grateful for. I was told I may never walk, and we don't know if you'll ever be weight bearing again. We don't know. And so I have so much to be grateful for. But to hear somebody say, forgive this guy that did it to me, I thought that was really weird. And about a year later at the Gator Nationals, I saw Don again, and I said, look, I don't want to offend you, but I thought the prayer was kind of weird. You prayed to forgive the guy, and I'd never done that. And he said to me, do you want to be forgiven? Do you want to go to heaven? Do you want to be forgiven? And I said, well, yeah, He said, well, you have to learn forgiveness before you can be forgiven yourself. And it really, was a hard thing for me to think about. It hit me deep. And I said, wow, And so I've learned forgiveness, okay? But before that, I had a biker buddy of mine, and this was just a couple of years after the accident. And he said to me, man, it's a good thing that guy died. And I looked at him like, what do you mean it's a good thing that guy died? He said, because I know you. You're the type of person, you'd go after him. you'd break every bone he broke. You'd go after him. And I said, well, I hate that you really think that I'm that type of person, but I never had that thought because the guy had died. But
Right.
yeah, I'd be pretty mad. Okay, I'd be pretty mad, and yeah, I may be the type of person that'd come after you. But with Don Garlits, I learned forgiveness, and he's. I've learned a lot.
Bill, when you first heard this story, Bill, the floor is yours, please.
I got I met Bill and Karen and the other Bill through a deputy from Marion County who's one of the top DUI officers in the state. Gary Miller and I became friends. Now, Ocala is about an hour and a half from me, and Gary invited me up there to a victims impact panel. Before that, I'd never spoken in an impact panel, and like Bill was saying, it's offenders. Now, when you hear offenders, I'm naive to what that means as far as how many people would be there. Well, I pull up in the courtroom, and the line's going out the door and down the parking ramp. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is this? What, am I in the right spot? And I asked the guy, sorry, I didn't mean to but I asked the guy if I was in the right place for the victim. He goes, yeah, just park wherever you want. And turns out he's one of the offenders. Well, I walked into a room where we got introduced. I got introduced to everybody, and everybody was great. And I wanted to learn their story, and they wanted to learn mine. And before we met with everybody, and I'm telling you, if both sides of the courtroom weren't filled, there weren't over 100 people in that thing, and I've spoken in front of 2,500 people plus, and never blinked. But this is 100 offenders.
Sure.
And I'm sitting there at the time, and still to this day, and I'm sure Bill goes through it, and I know Miss Karen goes through it, and no matter when you tell the story or your story, it gets emotional. Well, now I'm emotional because now I'm in front of all these offenders that I don't know how I'm going to react to. So now, and instead of becoming emotional, quiet, I became emotional a little bit on the angry side, and now my guard was up. But then I had the honor of listening to everybody else speak first. From Karen speaking about her daughter to Big Bill speaking about himself. And then William here, who literally could be my next door neighbor, as can anyone. But William said, and he started talking to the room, and he introduced himself, and he didn't make it about himself. Although he talked about his injuries and the things that he went through, and there's not 4 shows in a row we can put together to truly understand what Bill has gone through. And I sat there, and I know what I should be mad at, but who am I to be mad right now? When this man, meaning William, is looking at how that happened to him. He has to face that. Now, we all have to face them. We all have to share. We all have to let them know that, without pointing a finger or putting blame on anyone, that this is what happens when you make a decision. But I sat there and I watched William tell his story and how he related to everyone in that room. And they may have come pissed off and bored and wanting to go to sleep or talk to someone on their phone, but he commanded their attention. He was letting them know what happens about their decision. And I'll be honest, my head was spinning. I don't know what I said when I got there and talked. I just knew I was emotional, and I always am, and I always will be when I talk about that. But on the way home, I had to pull over, and I just had to